Welcome back to the show. Now we're joined by Charles Tarbey from Century 21 with the latest numbers from around the country. Charles, you're out of your pink jacket. The campaign's finished. You've raised a lot of money.
Yes, it closed off this afternoon, and I think we've done very, very well. I hope to report in the next week or so how much we raise. We're looking to raise 100,000, Chris. I think it's probably going to be closer to 300,000 when I look at what some of the officers have done and some of the reports coming in. So it's all been really good.
I'm glad some people have been paying big money to wear pink jackets.
Oh, pink jackets, pink shirts, everything right across the country.
Clearance numbers, what's happening?
Yeah, not too bad. The goal is still steady, you know, 69.8% for this last week. But this time last year was 71.4%. So it's slightly down, but it's been in the 60s for the last few weeks when you look at a national clearance rate. Sydney is always, well, between Sydney and Melbourne, they're generally the better performers. And Sydney was 74.8 and Melbourne was 71. Last week it was the other way around. Melbourne seemed to be doing a lot better. So all in all, nice and steady. It's just those two little hot areas that keep people interested in real estate and thinking that it's booming, but it's not.
Wonderful. And what's coming on before Christmas? Because we've really only got, I mean, really the houses have got to come on now, haven't they, for auctions?
Already started, yes. This week we've had a good climb of 2.99% over the week before, so this is like, I think, 5-6 weeks in a row now where we've had a reasonably good amount of stock coming on. I was talking about the New Zealand market. Auckland dropped last week, but we now sort of found out there's a reason there. A major player took all of their stock off a particular real estate portal, so I'm not sure what that's all about, but those in the industry will have an idea and all. But all in all, stock seems to be coming back, which is great.
Certainly on the graph there's a nice little upswing there.
Yes, and it hasn't been like that for a long time.
OK, and on to rent price movements.
And they've been very, very steady. Sydney's been probably the steadiest, as has been Melbourne, because it had an increase of 8.41% in the last 24 months of collecting the data. But you go to Perth at 19.39%. So they're sort of floating up there very nicely, and the average for the three capital cities of growth over the last 2 years came in at 13.39%.
Wonderful. And then finally the vacancy rate.
The vacancy rate, Sydney steady, 2.37%, Melbourne 3.16%, and Perth, worrying Perth at the moment, don't understand it, 7.33% vacancy rate. That's climbed every week for the last few weeks, giving us an average of 4.28% for the country.
Now, I don't know if you've got Tom's segment, but he's learning Chinese now because apparently there's a big auction in Melbourne that they did in Chinese and Australian for to target the Chinese buyers. Is that something that we've just got to be prepared for these days? We're in an international market, and different things are going to happen.
Stick to doing auctions in Marrickville because he's Greek and he can speak.
We said he can speak Greek and Australian.
Just should stick to the areas where his fellow countrymen buy property. That might be the best thing for him. It is a bit odd, but I don't see that won't happen. I probably don't see two auctioneers at the same time, or people, at least somebody who can communicate in that language, taking bids. I can see that happening without having to have an auctioneer speaking in Chinese. I think that'd be very confusing.
And look, I don't know if it's just the media pumping up, but I mean, that's the way things are. It's a changing world. There's different people, and as a vendor, you want to try and get the most amount of money, and so if you need to speak a few languages...
And which dialect of the Chinese language was he referring to? Because that's the other part of it.
But it was happening anyway, in that when you went to an auction, there were Chinese bidders. Mum or dad in Chinese were the daughter was translating to mum and dad, and so the auctioneer is doing what's right. He's actually providing a service, which is the right thing for him to be doing.
Yep. Wonderful. Charles Tarbey from Century 21, John Edwards from Residex, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us at home. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Chris Gray. Good night.
The information featured in this program is general in nature and therefore should not be relied upon. Guests appearing on the program may have commercial arrangements with some of the companies mentioned. Before making any investment, insurance or financial